So, hi, I'm just going to introduce everyone on stage. So you'll find to my left, this is Olivia, she's a divestment campaigner in Sweden. To my right there's Nega from FossilFree Münster. There's Charlie from FossilFree UCL in the UK. And there is Batan from FossilFree Amsterdam, from the Netherlands. FossilFree ABP, okay, yeah. And then there's Bill McKibben, co-founder of the organization 350.org. And my name, yeah, you can speak. And my name is Tina, I'm a divestment campaigner in Germany. And yeah, I would like to know what you all know and have heard about the divestment campaign. So, if you guys think that you've already understood the divestment strategy, please stand up. Okay, that's like half of them. These guys don't know anything. And yeah, you can sit down again. If you think that the tactic of divestment is actually about money, and withdrawing it from the fossil fuel industry, please stand up. You all know so much already. It's not that we're just a few. Yeah, you know, I'm all in red. I also chose the red chair, so I'm basically a red line. And I want to know who of you is going to take part in D12 tomorrow. Get up, stand up. Yay! Give a hand to yourself. That's amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to hand over to you, Bill, to tell us a little bit about the history of the fossil fuel divestment movement.
All right, and thank you very much, you two. And if it's all right with you, I'm just going to stay seated down. I am worn out. I can't remember the time before this COP began and what my previous life was like. And I've managed to come down with a cold or something. And but boy, is it good to be here. I spent the last couple of days at Le Bourget, and it is bleak and cold, and if you're not there, you're missing literally nothing. Although there is an excellent sandwich thing in Hall 3, I must say. But here's where the work's being done, and here's where the work's been done in places like this for the last 5 years. Some of you were probably at Copenhagen. The difference between Copenhagen and now is enormous. It's not that we're going to get an amazing treaty out of here, but something's going to happen, and there's huge movement underway around the world. And the reason that things are starting to shift, the reason that we're beginning to block pipelines and coal mines, the reason that we're starting to divest, is because what we didn't have going into Copenhagen was a big mass movement around the world. And now all of you have built it, and as we put more and more pressure on these systems, that's when things begin to change. Not fast enough, okay? We've got to build it bigger and push harder. But we're now beginning to reach the point where we have to represent some kind of actual threat to the hegemony of the fossil fuel system. And that's a beautiful place to be, so thank you all. The divestment thing has been one big part of it. It sort of started 3 years ago now, I guess, or 3.5 almost, really about 3 years ago. And it has spread so much faster than we thought it ever would. I remember just a little 2.5 or so years ago when we had the very first college to divest, the very first institution of any kind. It was a tiny college in the U.S. state of Maine with an endowment of $10 million, I think, and we were so happy when it divested, when it did the right thing, and very eagerly. And then things started to snowball, and by September of last year, when the Rockefeller family the first family of fossil fuel, the heir to the original oil fortune, when they said it's not morally proper nor financially wise to be invested in coal and gas and oil, when they divested, that took us to $50 billion worth of endowments and portfolios, but it was a kind of psychological breaking point. Suddenly, lots of people were saying to themselves, well, if the Rockefellers don't want to be invested in fossil fuel, why do I, you know? And so in the 12 months after that, we went from $50 billion to 3-point-some trillion dollars. And not all of it's fully divested, and some people are just doing coal, and there's tons of work to be done, and it's not. But it nonetheless has been remarkable for two reasons. One, it really has taken a lot of money out of things. Now, when we started, we didn't think that was going to be part of this, but by this point, it's making it difficult for people, especially coal companies, to raise capital, and that's powerful to see. The second reason, even more important, is that in those 3 years, you guys have driven into the absolute heart of the conventional wisdom this idea that we have to leave most fossil fuel in the ground. That's what the divestment movement, above all, has been a vehicle for. When we started 3 years ago, I wrote an article for Rolling Stone that, you know, if you save your back issues, the one with Justin Bieber on the cover, okay? And it was one of the first times that people had laid out this math, that we have to leave most of this stuff underground. Well, in 3 years, because of your work, not mine, because of your work, it went from the cover of Rolling Stone, and now everybody thinks it. Now the head of the World Bank says it, and the IMF, and Deutsche Bank, and the governor of the Bank of England speaking to Lloyd's of London Insurance, which is pretty much the definition of establishment, you know, if you think about it. They're like, yeah, you guys have way too much exposure to unburnable carbon that's going to become stranded assets. Okay? These things have become something that everybody who knows anything about this stuff now kind of understands and knows, and it's beginning to reshape the debate. So you've done an unbelievable job of making it happen. And now we just try and keep this momentum going. And we try and merge it with all the other things that people are doing all over the place in this fight for climate justice. Merge it with the work that we're all doing to stop particular fossil fuel projects, you know. All the pipelines and coal mines and things that remind us very explicitly why we need divestment. And then there are these enormous new possibilities opening up for how to take this stuff to these fossil fuel companies hard. I think we're going to spend a lot of time in the year to come talking about ExxonMobil, the biggest fossil fuel industry on Earth, which turns out also to be the biggest liars in the history of the planet. Guys who knew everything that there was to know about climate change 30 years ago and just flat out built this big architecture of deception and denial. We all together are going to make sure that nobody wants to be associated. We've got to turn them into the pariahs of our economy and our society. And in the process, we will continue to weaken this industry so we can actually get somewhere. Because, and here's the tough part of all of this, we're not getting where we need to get as fast as we need to get there. This one has a time limit. So the speed with which we move is the most important thing. And we're not, I mean, in the last 10 days while we've been here in Paris, we've had epic floods that killed hundreds of people in Chennai. We had some of the biggest rainstorms in the history of the United Kingdom. We had 200-year record flood in Norway. We've had, in the Maldives, the highest rainfall ever recorded. The city of Portland, Oregon, had the single rainiest day in its entire history. 13 counties there are a disaster area today. This is what a world looks like that's gotten warmer. Warm air holds more water vapor than cold. We're way behind, so accelerating is the absolute essence of the game now, making it go faster. And divestment continues to be a remarkable tool for that, because even when we don't win, it's the tool for education, just repeating over and over and over again what we now understand about this industry and their hold on things. It's so powerful. So I just want to stop there and say incredible thanks to you guys for making this happen in so many places, and to all of you. And we will look forward to seeing everybody out there tomorrow. Very chill and very together and very much in solidarity with each other. It's going to be one more of these occasions that we kind of keep this movement building, growing, attracting other people all the time, because the goal of movements is always to attract more people, to reach further out into the center, to get more people engaged. And divestment has been such a tool for doing that. So thank you all so, so much.
Thank you very much. So we've heard that the divestment movement is really spreading, and it's also really spreading here in France. And we're really happy because that's just the latest developments. And it's been just on for like half a year that our new colleagues started in France. And right now we already have 20 French city parliaments who are endorsing divestment. And that's just great news. And I want to thank all the French people who have worked with that. So please give us. And now we really want to hear from other places in Europe. We want to hear your recent wins and about your recent stories and what is really moving you. So, I want to ask you, Vaten, you are targeting one of the biggest pension funds in the world with huge amounts of money. So, what have been your latest successes and what are you proud of?
Okay, so the ABP pension fund is the pension fund that we're targeting in the Netherlands, the fifth largest pension fund in the world, and they're having a total amount of assets worth 350 billion euros. It's huge. And so we've been doing some research about how much of the amount of money they have invested in the fossil fuel industry. And it's 10% of that money is invested in the fossil fuel energy industry. That's 35 billion euros, which is insane. So we've targeted them since last year, April 2014, and it resonates very much with me when you say that there's a shift occurring now, because from April 2014 till now, we have had considerable success with this campaign. Just 1 month and a half ago, they decided that they will, by 2020, decrease the CO2 emissions of their entire investment portfolio by 25%. And it's not divestment, we're still working towards divestment, and they will eventually divest. They don't know yet. But because of the scale of things, this is huge. And when ABP moves, other pension funds move as well. And they know this, so they know that they are going to divest, I believe so. But they're doing everything they can to avoid the word divestment. So what you have now in their new sustainability policy is they're not talking about plans to divest, but they're talking about plans to, within 5 years, they're talking about exclusion by means of inclusion. So it's really... So the plan concretely consists of the fact that they will bring their 5,000 holdings in different companies down to 3,500 holdings. Couple that with their ambition to lower the CO2 emissions by 20 to 25% in 5-year time. Because of the scale of things, there is no other option than to start divesting immediately. And we've been picking up signals that, next year we might throw a party somewhere because of the first divestment news coming in, but you never know. But this is what we're aiming for, and they won't try to make a sound about it, but we will, so it's gonna be cool.
And Vatan, one of your colleagues told me that you're a really tiny group of people. So you're about to making real change. How many are you?
Right, so you might think, right, ABP, pension fund, they have these, you have to have a big campaigning group of very intelligent people to tackle them. But we're not all that intelligent, we're just normal people. And it was 4 of us, 5 of us, 6 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us, 6 of us. And that's all it took, you know. It took organization, it took mobilization, it took a big heart, and it took some nights pulling through. But does it really matter? No. You know, so if you just have your gut in the right place and you have a good connection with your gut, you know, go for the gut feeling, what is right, so just do it, you know.
One last question. So you told me that their argument for not divesting is really engagement.
Right.
So what have you been asking them?
Right, so this is funny. So we had a first conversation last year in September 2014. And when we had this conversation with them, 18th floor, Amsterdam, you know, big skyscraper, we asked them a question: what did this active engagement do for the climate? Give me, we said, 3 examples. Not 4, not 5, not 6, just 3 examples of how active engagement did something good for the climate in the past 30 years. Silence. There was not a single example that they could give. So just recently there's been a documentary that you can all look and see for yourself, which focuses on FossilFree Berlin, but also ABP Fossil-Free. And there's also a shot of the conversation we had with ABP just recently. But one of the things that I asked them then again was also, give me 3 examples of how active engagement did something for the climate and for all of us. And again, they weren't able to give us very convincing examples. They only got to 2, of which one was getting Shell out of the Arctic, which Shell, of course, denies. So, yeah. And they've told us directly, very directly, if I may just add this, they've said, and it's been on the record, it's been taped, so we're not, you know, making this up. But ABP has told us that what we have done has accelerated their process of rethinking their investments in this industry, big time. And so, yeah, we can do something if we just want to and go for it.
Can I just say, active engagement did get Shell out of the Arctic, but it wasn't pension funds, it was 3,000 or 4,000 people in kayaks out in
Thank you, Vatan. Okay, let's go over to the UK. Charlie, I've heard you've been doing some real mischief over there. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we've actually, FossilFree UCL, and the 15 of us, 20 of us who are here, have come directly from occupying a big space at our university. So we cleared out last night and left a little message saying au revoir fossil fuels, see you again soon, and left it nice and tidy, and here we are, overnight coach. I guess I'll give a little bit of background maybe to the divestment campaign in the context of UK universities, because it's a story of like real wins, especially over the last couple of months. From Glasgow last year, now this year we've had Warwick, we've had the School of Oriental and African Studies, we've had Surrey, we've had University of the Arts, we've had Oxford, we've had Edinburgh, and more.
Sheffield!
And Sheffield. So it's a situation in which university divestment, each new one we greet with a lot of joy and a lot of celebration, but it's no longer a surprise. And I think that's a real indication of the stage we've reached. So at UCL we haven't yet reached that stage, but what's really exciting is that we seem to basically have won the argument. When we talk to students, it takes about 5 seconds for them to realise that this is actually the right thing to do. We don't have to make that argument with staff. Again, we held an academic debate in March, and like 97% of people attending thought that divestment was the right option. Even with management, when we're trying to negotiate these things, they don't come back with arguments against divestment. They never do that. Their tactic is always to divert, to try and bring onto some other issue or to offer some other solution that is usually greenwash. But they realise that they've got no leg to stand on and the argument is really won. So it becomes how to just pin them down, how to secure that win, which is the task. So maybe what I'd like to do is just focus a bit on the value of, go back to the occupation and explain why I think that occupation and taking direct action, particularly in a university context, is important and what it can do. So I guess the first thing is just, as a tactic, it puts direct pressure on the university. We occupied a privatised space, a marquee that has been put up in UCL's main quad, which is managed by a private company, Sodexo, and which charges hundreds of pounds to student societies to use it. So by occupying that space, we're depriving them of money, we're being an incredibly visible reminder to university management this is an issue that they've got to deal with. So as a tactic, it really forces their hand when in the past they've been happy to just say, oh yeah, we set up a committee and they're currently reviewing things, and allows them kind of to get off the hook. But second, more broadly, I think the direct action it's been amazing just to see the amount of energy in the student body and the staff body that has generated in just a week. We started planning last week, and there was just a few of us, the campaigners, kind of not at a lull, but maybe lacking a bit of energy. But just in a week, we had 40 people come occupy on the first night at the take. And since then, we've had people coming in and out, and it's just a really exciting time to galvanise momentum, not just for this campaign, but kind of for the future. These are the activists that are going to be going out into the world and doing more stuff. Like, from a personal experience, I can say that like my climate activism journey started probably like a year ago today even, or a year ago like last week when I signed a petition at UCL, and since then I've been involved in this campaign. I've helped shut down coal mines in the north of England. It's just been a whirlwind, and that wouldn't have started without kind of university students, direct action at university, radicalising students. And thirdly, and then I'll shut up, opening a space for discussion. That's direct action, that taking of the space, in a similar way to this kind of the ZAC here, provides a space for people to kind of step back and consider. It provides a space for people who maybe don't know about divestment, or who maybe have a grievance against the university, or have vague feelings but don't know how to channel them, to come in there and really direct that energy. And also to have some of the more difficult conversations. We invited radical groups from London Campaigns, London Latins, it's a radical collective of South American activists, part of the Wretched of the Earth bloc and the London March, who kind of join the dots between colonialism, imperialism and climate change, and how that reflects on the climate movement itself, and how the climate movement itself needs to look itself in the mirror and overcome some of those issues to really become the really broad, powerful movement that it needs to be to accelerate some of these. So I'll stop there for the moment.
But I have more questions. So, what is your family saying? Don't you think this is a little bit too radical, like occupying a university?
I mean, they don't follow Twitter, so it may well be that they don't know. But I think, yeah, I'm really grateful to the divestment movement for kind of overcoming my parents' conservative background. But I could do a shout out to my brother, who's just, I don't know if he's in here, but he's just launched an amazing divestment campaign at Cambridge University. And they're just doing amazing stuff. He was telling me an anecdote about how he was on a call with People and Planet, a divestment coordinator there, with a group of them doing planning a direct action. And then only halfway through was it that the coordinator realised that this was just one subgroup of their campaign. In fact, they've got 40, 50 people and they've only just started.
impressive. So, and when you look into the future, into the next months, what comes after the occupation?
We've got a meeting actually with the head of finance on Tuesday, which I need to someone needs to go to that. Yeah, I have a feeling that what they're going to offer us from our lovely friends at Sheffield have given us a little hint. It's going to be greenwashing, it's going to be a sustainability fund focused on engagement. I read the document and it was even kind of not being certain about kind of the effect of gas on climate. It was saying, well, it depends on the methane emissions and the kind of process. So I'm not that hopeful for that, but we've got talks there, so it's promising.
Good start. Thank you very much. So, Nea here from Germany, Münster, northwestern part. Yeah, you've got some great successes lately.
Actually, yes.
What did happen? Tell me all about it.
After 2.5 years of campaigning, the city finally divested. And this was not only just a divestment success, but it was the first success we had in Germany, so that was really empowering and motivating and giving momentum to the whole campaign in Germany.
Wow, so now that you have this first win, what's changing? What has changed?
Well, first of all, I felt, well, yeah, we achieved it now. What now? What next? What to do? But there are definitely other things to do at the university, for example, which is not that much cooperative with us. Yeah, and there's another campaign we started with the LWL. It's I don't know the word in English actually, Landschaftsverband. Yeah,
It's a government institution or
government?
yeah?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
But I have heard they have huge shares in RWE. Okay, and
Yeah.
what's that?
Sorry?
What is RWE? I don't think everyone knows.
Oh, yeah, we know that.
It's a company, an energy company, mostly, the most or a lot of the energy they produce comes from oil, and they're located in the Rhineland area where the Ende Gelände action took place this year. Huh?
Oil or coal?
Did I say oil?
Yeah, you said oil.
I wanted to say coal.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're evil. They're just evil. They like Shell, and they're part of the 200 companies, the most biggest companies we have to divest from.
Okay.
And this institution, the LWL, is investing about 19 million euros in RWE.
And what is this institution about? Like, what are they doing?
The LWL, they're a kind of a social, association. They, this is really hard to explain in English, but they organize like what we call an ecological year, which is for young people to discover or try out some, I don't know what, yeah, it's like a practice, but it's 1 year, and they can try this out, and it has an ecological background, for example, and yeah, it does really fit with with their money issues. Yeah.
And how will you campaign them? Are there any plans right now for this institution to divest?
We're working together with Greenpeace on this. Greenpeace Germany has decided to cooperate with us and make a campaign, kick off a campaign, a divestment campaign. And locally, in Münster, we're going to work together too. And well, yeah, we've sent them a letter already, so they should have been starting thinking about divesting. Yeah, and we will see what comes out of that.
Okay, thank you very much. So, one campaign done, the next already started. Good work. And so we also wanted to have campaigners from Sweden over. They couldn't come, but Olivia is here. She's also a divestment campaigner, but in Sweden, but also my colleague. So Olivia, how did you get with divestment in the mainstream? I think nobody knew about the tactic before, and now I think everyone's talking about it and wants to join.
Sure, you can consider this a story that you listen to while you tweet us your questions or thoughts to #divestcop. Questions and ideas to share with all of these brilliant people. #divestcop. So in Sweden we started the campaign 2.5 years ago now, and to start off with, divest didn't exist as a word in Sweden. There was one kind of a word that was very used in the financial business, which was avyttra, and it sounds really, really boring. We couldn't imagine putting that on banners because it sounded too, like something for business financial analysts. So we were thinking, okay, should we just use the English words? We call ourselves fossil-free because one of the strengths of this movement is that we're working locally and nationally, but we're part of this huge global movement, and we connect by our name, fossil-free, but also through this word, divest. But we decided we'll just create our new word. So we made up this word, divestera, which is divest, but made into a word in Swedish. And I mean, just this Wednesday, I met a journalist from national radio by the Bourget at the conference, and she did a live interview with me and the big pension fund in Sweden, and their main question was, so, divestering, what is that all about? And this word has really it's been proposed to be one of the new words from this year for the big dictionary in Sweden. And I think that's just this brilliant sign of how all these campaigners in the dozen of campaigns that we have locally, both in cities and universities in Sweden, how that's really made it into the mainstream. So I'm really glad we had the boldness to just make up our own word and go for it and put that on all our banners, because it made sense and it's made a difference.
Can I ask people a real favor? This just occurred to me, but maybe we could do it as we're starting to ask questions. If maybe we could go down and sit down front just here for a minute, and someone could take a picture. Our friends at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, today went past, this is day 50 that they've been sitting in the hallway outside the president's office. These are a bunch of scientists, 40 or 50. I think it may be the longest divestment sit-in almost that there's ever been. They're amazing people, and I know that they love it. If we could do a picture where people maybe could just hold up a 5 and a 0 or something with their hands, and something like that, and just let them know that we're thinking, oh yeah, 5 and a fist, that's good, and let them know we're thinking of them. That'd be a great picture, I think, to send back if people don't know.
We do it now. So, who could take the picture? You can do it? Awesome. Okay, everyone hold up a hand and fist. I bet there are many, many more. So you can see the divestment movement is growing, and we are really, really strong and begin to stigmatize the industry that is wrecking the planet and those that are profiting from the wreckage. And I hope you will all join us in this movement. To me, it became a big, big family. We also do direct action together in Europe, and we meet regularly, and the bonds are becoming really, really strong. I trust everyone in this movement. It's a very beautiful thing. And so I want to thank you all again. And